All right, real talk. I thought I had seen it all when it came to succulents. I mean, how different can they really get, right? And then I found this one that literally looks like a cluster of tiny green jelly beans. Another one looks like a rock. Like, literally just a rock with roots. Turns out, there's a whole world of rare and unique succulents that most people have never even seen. So today, I'm showing you 50 of the coolest, weirdest, most underrated succulents that'll make your collection stand out or at least make your friends say, "Wait, that's a plant?" From alien-looking textures to colors you didn't even know plants could pull off. This list's got all the hidden gems. Grab your coffee, grab your wish list, and let's geek out over some seriously cool succulents. Let's get into it. All right, first up is Huernia Zebrina, and trust me, this one's wild. Some folks call it the lifesaver plant because, well, look at that flower. It literally looks like it's got a gummy candy stuck in the middle. Yeah, it's real, no joke. The flower's got this deep red ring, super glossy, and the rest looks like it belongs on an alien planet. The stems are chunky, kind of like a cactus, and they've got these little soft spines, not sharp though, just textured. It thrives in bright light, loves to be ignored, and when it blooms, man, it steals the show. People are always like, "Wait, that's not fake?" Nope, 100% real and ridiculously cool. If you're trying to start your rare succulent collection with something that'll make people stop and stare, this is the one. Next up is the disco cactus. Yeah, that's really what it's called. And honestly, it lives up to the name. It's this tiny, round cactus that kind of looks like a green sea urchin. But when it blooms, boom, massive neon yellow flower right on top. Like nature's own disco ball moment. What's crazy is how small the cactus is compared to the flower. Like the bloom's trying to throw its own party. It's one of those plants that stays low-key most of the year, then just shows off out of nowhere. Super rare, too. Not something you'll just find sitting at your local garden center. It likes warmth, hates cold feet, so let that soil dry out. Honestly, if you want something weird, beautiful, and a little dramatic in your collection, this one's a vibe. All right, number 3 is the 7-star cactus, and this one's got some serious presence. It's got this clean, symmetrical shape with ribs that almost look carved like nature, sat down with a ruler, and planned this one out. The coolest part? It sometimes gets these little tufts of white fuzz along the ribs, kinda like it's growing tiny clouds. And when it flowers, man, it throws out these silky white or pink blooms that feel way too elegant for a plant that tough looking. It's not something you run into often, and collectors love it because it's slow growing and just kinda mysterious. Like it looks simple at first, but the longer you stare at it, the more details you notice. Definitely one of those quiet showstoppers you'll end up staring at way too long. Okay, number 4 is monkey's tail, and it's exactly as fun as it sounds. This succulent has these long, trailing stems covered in tiny, fuzzy little leaves that kind of look like a monkey's tail. Super soft and almost furry. It's one of those plants that's perfect for hanging baskets because it spills over the sides in this crazy cool way. It's low maintenance too, likes bright but indirect light, and doesn't need a ton of water, which is always a win. When it flowers, you get these small, bright yellow blooms that pop out unexpectedly. Honestly, it's one of those plants that adds a little wild vibe to your collection without being high maintenance or fussy. If you want something that's a little different and has some serious personality, monkey's tail is a solid pick. Number 5 is the paper spine cactus, and this thing is seriously underrated. Unlike your typical sharp spine cactus, this one's got these soft, papery spines that almost look like delicate feathers or tiny strips of paper blowing in the wind. It gives the whole plant a really unique, almost ghostly vibe. It's a slow grower and pretty chill, loves bright light but doesn't mind a little shade, and it's super drought tolerant, so forget about overwatering. When it blooms, you get these small white flowers that smell kind of sweet, which is a nice bonus. If you want a cactus that looks totally different from the usual prickly suspects and adds some subtle texture to your collection, paper spine is where it's at. Number 6 is Bushman's hat. And honestly, this one looks like it was designed by Mother Nature just to mess with us a little. It's got these thick, triangular stems stacked on top of each other, almost like a tiny skyscraper made of plants. The way the edges curve and fold gives it this cool geometric vibe that's surprisingly elegant. It's a pretty tough little guy too, loves bright light, but can handle a bit of shade, and it's super drought resistant. When it flowers, it shoots out these tiny star-shaped blooms that are kind of subtle, but add a nice touch of charm. If you want something that's a little different, low-key architectural, and just plain interesting to look at, Bushman's hat should definitely be on your list. Number 7 is Dudleya Brittonii, also known as the giant chalk Dudleya, and this one is seriously stunning. It's got these big, thick leaves that look almost powdery white like someone dusted them with chalk, which is actually how it gets its nickname. The leaves form this perfect rosette that's just so clean and smooth, it kind of feels like the plant is made out of porcelain. It's native to California, so it's pretty drought tolerant, but also loves plenty of sun to keep that chalky look vibrant. When it blooms, you get these tall stalks with tiny, delicate yellow flowers that really pop against those white leaves. If you want a succulent that stands out with its bold, frosty vibe and low-maintenance attitude, Dudleya Brittonii is definitely a winner. Number 8 is Karoo Rose, and man, this one's a showstopper. It's got these thick, fleshy leaves that curl up and inward, almost like a rosebud about to bloom, hence the name. The colors are wild too, ranging from deep green to this smoky purplish hue depending on the light and how much sun it's getting. It's a slow grower but super hardy, perfect for folks who want a dramatic look without a ton of fuss. When it flowers, you get these tiny star-shaped blooms that add just the right touch of delicacy to all that boldness. If you want a succulent that looks like it belongs in a fancy art gallery, but is actually pretty easy to care for, Karoo Rose is the one to grab. Number 9 is the bunny succulent. And yeah, it's named exactly for what you're thinking. Those little fuzzy leaves kind of look like tiny bunny ears popping up from the soil. It's super soft to the touch, almost like a plush toy. But don't let that fool you. It's tough and drought resistant. It grows in these tight rosettes, and the leaves get a little silvery green with hints of purple, especially when it's soaking up some sun. When it flowers, you get these cute little orange or yellow blooms that add a fun pop of color without stealing the spotlight. If you want a succulent that's both adorable and low maintenance, bunny succulent is a perfect addition that'll definitely get people smiling. Number 10 is Titanopsis Calcarea, and this one's a real gem if you like your succulents with a bit of attitude. The leaves are thick and chunky but covered in these rough, almost warty bumps that make it look like a tiny stone or piece of bark, perfect camouflage for its native rocky habitats. The colors are muted greens and grays, but those textures give it so much character you can't help but stare. It's super drought tolerant and loves bright light, but don't push it too hard, this one likes a chill vibe. When it flowers, you get these small, daisy-like yellow blooms that pop up right from the center, giving a sweet contrast to its rugged look. If you want something that stands out by blending in, Titanopsis Calcarea is a seriously cool pick. Number 11 is Euphorbia Obesa, and this little guy is basically nature's stress ball. It's round and squat, almost like a tiny green baseball, with these subtle stripes that give it a cool, minimalist look. What's awesome is that it doesn't have the usual spines you expect from a succulent, just smooth, firm skin that feels almost rubbery. It's super slow growing and pretty low-key, so it's perfect if you want something that won't take over your space or your attention. Just a heads up though, the sap is toxic, so keep it away from pets and kids. When it blooms, the flowers are tiny and not super showy, but honestly, it's the shape and simplicity of this one that really make it stand out. If you want a succulent that's chill, unique, and a little quirky, Euphorbia Obesa is a solid choice. Number 12 is Astrophytum Myriostigma, also known as the bishop's cap, and this one's got some serious charm. It's got this smooth, star-shaped body with usually 5 ribs, and what makes it really stand out are the tiny white flecks all over that give it a speckled, almost snowy look. It's kind of like the quiet kid in the room who's actually super interesting once you get to know it. This cactus loves bright light, but hates too much water classic succulent vibes. When it flowers, you get these big, showy yellow blooms with orange centers that really steal the spotlight. It's slow growing and pretty low maintenance, so it's perfect if you want something unique but easy to keep alive. Definitely a must-have if you want your collection to have that cool, understated style. Number 13 is the jewel leaf plant, and this one's a real treat if you like shiny, eye-catching foliage. The leaves are thick and fleshy, with this glossy, almost glassy finish that makes them look like they're covered in little jewel-shants, the name. The colors can vary from deep greens to purples and even burgundy, depending on the light, which keeps things interesting. It's a pretty hardy plant, doesn't mind a bit of neglect, and thrives in bright, indirect light. When it flowers, you get these small, star-shaped blooms that are delicate but add a nice contrast to the bold leaves. If you want something that adds a pop of color and texture without a lot of fuss, the jewel leaf plant is a solid pick for any succulent collection. Number 14 is Stapelia Gigantea, and this one's definitely for those who want something wild and a little weird in their collection. It's known for its massive, star-shaped flowers that can get almost a foot wide. Yeah, they're huge. The petals have this hairy texture and are covered in spots that give off a kind of funky, earthy smell, which is actually meant to attract flies for pollination. It's not your typical pretty flower, but it's got serious personality and makes a bold statement. The plant itself is pretty easygoing, with thick, fleshy stems that don't need much water and like bright but indirect light. If you're into succulents that are more conversation starters than just pretty plants, Stapelia Gigantea is your go-to. Number 15 is Adromischus Cristatus, and this little guy's got some serious character with its crinkly, wavy leaves that almost look like they belong to some kind of funky alien plant. The leaves have these tiny reddish-brown spots that give it a cool textured look, and they kind of fan out like little hands reaching up. It's a slow grower but pretty tough, handling bright light well and needing only occasional watering, so it's low stress for the forgetful plant parent. When it blooms, you get these delicate little tubular flowers on long stalks that are surprisingly pretty and add a nice contrast to the chunky leaves. If you want a succulent that's unique, easygoing, and adds a bit of quirky flair, Adromischus Cristatus is definitely worth adding to your collection. Number 16 is Bear's Paw, and this one's as cute as it sounds. The leaves are thick and fuzzy with little toothy edges that look just like tiny bear claws. It's like having a mini wild animal right on your windowsill. It's super easy to care for, likes bright light but can handle some shade, and only needs watering when the soil's dry. When it flowers, you get these small, bell-shaped blooms in shades of pink or red that really make the fuzzy leaves pop. It's a fun, tactile plant that's great if you want something playful and different in your collection, without too much hassle. Definitely a crowd pleaser for any succulent lover. Number 17 is Brain Cactus, and you gotta check this one out because it seriously looks like, well, a brain. Its surface is all convoluted and wrinkly, with ridges that twist and turn in this crazy maze-like pattern. It's actually a grafted cactus, combining a colorful base with this funky top, which makes it a total conversation starter. This one's pretty chill to care for. It likes bright light, but not too much direct sun, and watering just when the soil dries out keeps it happy. When it blooms, you get these small, bright yellow flowers that contrast nicely with the brainy texture. If you want a succulent that's unique and a little quirky, Brain Cactus is definitely one to add to your lineup. Number 18 is Desert Rose, and man, this one's a showstopper. It's got this thick, swollen trunk that looks like it's built to store water for the harshest droughts, and its branches spread out with these thick, glossy leaves that are just begging to be touched. What really steals the show, though, are the bright, trumpet-shaped flowers in shades of pink, red, or white that pop against the green leaves and make it look like a miniature flowering tree. It's a bit picky with its water too much, and it'll rot. Too little, and it gets stressed, so you gotta find that sweet spot. Loves bright, indirect sunlight and a well-draining soil mix. If you want a succulent that's got both personality and beauty, Desert Rose is definitely a winner for your collection. Number 19 is Lithops, also known as living stones. And these little guys are seriously fascinating. They look just like tiny rocks or pebbles, which is actually their natural camouflage in the wild. Pretty clever, right? They're super low profile and don't grow tall at all, making them perfect if you're short on space. They need bright light, but not scorching sun, and they're picky about watering too. Much water can kill them, so you really have to let the soil dry out completely between drinks. When they flower, you get these surprisingly big daisy-like blooms that come out right from between the two leaf halves. If you want something unique and a little mysterious, lithops are a must-have for your succulent lineup. Number 20 is baby toes, and this one's pretty adorable with its little finger-like leaves that stick straight up and kind of look like tiny baby toes poking out of the soil. The leaves are thick and fleshy, perfect for storing water, and they often have a slightly translucent tip that lets light in, which is pretty cool. They like bright, indirect light and need really well-draining soil so their roots don't get soggy. When they bloom, you get these small, daisy-like white or yellow flowers that pop up between the leaves, adding a sweet little surprise. If you want a succulent that's cute, quirky, and a bit different from the usual rosette shapes, baby toes is a great one to have around. Number 21 is Fenestraria Aurantiaca, also known as baby toes, but a bit different from the other baby toes plant. This one's got these little fleshy leaves that look like tiny green cylinders poking out of the soil, and the coolest part is the translucent window on top that lets sunlight in kind of like a built-in skylight. It stays pretty low to the ground and likes bright light but not direct sun, so a nice spot near a window is perfect. It's super drought tolerant and needs watering only when the soil is totally dry. When it blooms, you get these small, daisy-like yellow flowers that add a nice pop of color. If you want a succulent that's low maintenance but visually interesting and kind of futuristic looking, Fenestraria Aurantiaca is a great pick. Number 22 is Pachyphytum Compactum, and this little dude is like the chubby cheeks of the succulent world. It's got these thick, plump leaves that are tightly packed together, almost like little blue-green jelly beans stacked in a neat little rosette. The leaves have a powdery coating that gives them a soft, matte finish, which looks super cool under bright light. It's pretty low-key when it comes to care loves, bright, indirect light, and only needs watering when the soil's bone dry, so it's perfect if you're not the most consistent waterer. When it flowers, it sends up these delicate little pinkish-red blooms that add a sweet splash of color. If you want a succulent that's both adorable and easy to manage, Pachyphytum Compactum is definitely one to snag for your collection. Number 23 is Queen Victoria Agave, and man, this one's a real showstopper with its dramatic, thick leaves that fan out in this perfect rosette. The leaves have these beautiful bluish-gray tones with sharp, dark edges and spikes that give it a bit of an attitude you definitely want to keep it somewhere. You won't bump into it too often. It's a slow grower but super tough, handling heat and drought like a champ, so it's great if you want a low-maintenance plant that still looks bold and unique. It loves bright sunlight and well-draining soil to keep those roots happy. When it flowers, which takes years, it shoots up this massive tall stalk with yellow blooms, kind of a big event. If you're looking for a succulent with some serious presence, Queen Victoria Agave is one you don't want to miss. Number 24 is Echeveria Black Prince, and this one's pretty striking with its dark, almost black leaves that form a tight rosette. It's like the goth kid of the succulent world. The leaves have a matte finish and can show hints of deep green or purple depending on the light, which makes it super cool to look at. It's pretty low maintenance, just needs bright indirect light and a good soak when the soil dries out completely. This succulent also flowers with little orange or red bell-shaped blooms that pop up on tall stalks, adding a nice contrast. If you want something a little edgy but still classic in the succulent game, Black Prince is a solid pick for your collection. Number 25 is Echeveria Topsy and this one's got a really fun vibe because its leaves curl up and twist in all directions, giving it a wild, almost sculptural look. The leaves are thick and kind of powdery with a pale blue-green color that really pops under good light. It's pretty easygoing, likes bright light, but not scorching sun, and you just want to water it when the soil is bone dry to avoid rot. It sends up these tall flower stalks with tiny orange and yellow bell-shaped flowers that are a nice surprise. If you want a succulent that stands out and has a bit of personality, Topsy definitely fits the bill without being too high maintenance. Number 26 is Lithops Julii, and these little guys are seriously fascinating because they look just like tiny stones or pebbles, perfect for anyone who likes a bit of camouflage in their plant collection. They're small, round, and have these cool patterns on top that help them blend into their natural desert surroundings. They don't need much water at all, and you really have to be careful not to overdo it. Think of them as the less is more type of succulent. When they bloom, they surprise you with these delicate, daisy-like flowers that pop right out from between the leaves, usually in white or yellow. They're definitely a conversation starter and a neat challenge if you want something unique that's a bit off the beaten path. Number 27 is Kalanchoe, and this one's a real crowd pleaser with its thick, fleshy leaves that sometimes have a scalloped edge, giving it a bit of texture and character. The cool thing about Kalanchoe is it blooms these bright, vibrant clusters of flowers that can last for weeks, adding a burst of color indoors or out. It's pretty chill when it comes to care. Just needs a spot with bright light and moderate watering, letting the soil dry out between drinks. Plus, it's tough enough to handle some neglect, which makes it great if you're busy or new to succulents. Overall, it's a solid pick if you want something that's both eye-catching and easygoing in your collection. Number 28 is Haworthia Cooperi, and this one's got these really cool, almost translucent leaves that look like little green jelly beans packed together. It's a bit smaller than some succulents, so it fits nicely on a desk or windowsill without taking up too much space. It prefers bright but indirect light. Direct sun can be a little too harsh and turn those leaves brown. Water it sparingly and make sure the soil drains well because it hates sitting in soggy roots. One of the best things about this plant is how uniquely textured and shiny the leaves are. They almost look like tiny bubbles, which really makes it stand out in any collection. If you want something low-key but with a bit of visual wow, this is a great pick. Number 29 is Aeonium Kiwi, and this one's got these stunning rosettes with leaves that are green in the middle but fade to pink or reddish edges, kind of like a sunrise captured in a plant. It's a little different from your typical succulent because it likes cooler temps and can handle some shade, so it's great if you don't have a full sunspot. Water it when the soil dries out, but be careful not to overdo it, since it's a bit more sensitive. The way the colors shift with the light makes it a real eye-catcher, especially when it's getting some sun. If you want something that adds a pop of color without needing tons of fuss, Aeonium Kiwi is definitely a winner. Number 30 is Lithops Karasmontana, and these little guys are seriously fascinating. They look just like tiny stones or pebbles, which is how they blend into their natural desert environment. They're super low maintenance since they only need a little water here and there, especially during their growing season, and you've got to let the soil dry out completely between watering. What's cool is how they kind of disappear into a rocky pot or garden, making them perfect if you want a plant that's unique but subtle. They also flower with these small, daisy-like blooms that pop up in the fall, adding a surprising burst of life. If you're into plants that are both quirky and low-key, Lithops Karasmontana is definitely a must-have. Number 31 is Jade Necklace, and man, this one's a real crowd pleaser, with those long, trailing stems that look just like a necklace made of tiny, glossy beads. It's pretty forgiving too thrives on neglect and only needs water when the soil is bone dry. So it's perfect if you don't have a ton of time to fuss over plants. The way it trails makes it awesome for hanging pots or shelves where it can just spill over the edge, adding some serious green vibes to any room. Plus, it's got this chill, minimalist look that fits in anywhere from a modern apartment to a cozy cabin. And yeah, it's a succulent, so it's tough and drought-resistant, which is always a win. If you want something that's low maintenance but still stands out, Jade Necklace is a solid pick. Number 32 is Haworthia Pygmaea, and this little guy is seriously cool with its tight rosette and those thick, fleshy leaves that almost look like little green tiles lined up perfectly. It's compact, so if you're tight on space, this succulent fits right in without crowding your windowsill. What's neat is the way the leaves have this translucent quality at the tips, kind of like tiny windows letting light in, which is just wild when you see it up close. It's super low-key too, doesn't need much water, and totally digs indirect sunlight, making it great for indoor setups where you don't get full sun all day. And honestly, it looks kind of futuristic with its geometric shape, so it adds a neat vibe to your plant collection without needing much attention. If you want something that's unique, easy, and just plain interesting to stare at, Haworthia Pygmaea is a no-brainer. Number 33 is Moon Cactus. And this one's a total showstopper with its bright neon top that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Seriously eye-catching. What's cool is that the colorful part isn't actually photosynthesizing, so it's grafted onto a green cactus base that does all the heavy lifting kind of like a perfect team. It's super low maintenance, just needs bright indirect light and not too much water. So even if you're new to succulents, you won't mess it up. Plus it adds this pop of color to any room, which is awesome if your space is feeling a bit blah. It's also a fun conversation starter because most people don't realize how it grows or why it's got that funky look. Honestly, if you want a plant that's both quirky and easy to care for, moon cactus is a no-brainer. Number 34 is Parodia Rechensis, and this little guy is like the perfect blend of classic cactus vibes. With a twist, it's round, compact, and covered in these neat little spines that almost look like tiny stars. It's pretty low-key, but has this quiet charm that makes it stand out when you spot it in a collection. It's super easy to care for. Just needs bright light and careful watering. Don't overdo it, or it'll let you know. What I really like is how it occasionally throws out these bright yellow flowers that totally brighten up the whole plant like nature's little surprise party. It fits perfectly on a desk or windowsill without taking up much space, so it's great for small spots. Honestly, if you want a succulent that's subtle but with a cool personality, Parodia Rechensis is definitely worth adding to your lineup. Number 35 is the Painted Lady, and this one's a real showstopper with those colorful, almost brush-stroked leaves that look like someone went wild with watercolors. It's not your typical green succulent. The reds, purples, and greens blend in a way that feels both artistic and natural. It's super chill to care for. Just needs some bright indirect light and a good soak now and then, but don't drown it. These guys hate soggy roots. I love how it adds a pop of color to any collection, especially when it gets a little sun and those hues really come alive. Plus, it's pretty slow growing, so you don't have to worry about it taking over your space. If you're after a succulent that's a bit different and totally eye-catching, the Painted Lady should definitely be on your list. Number 36 is the Ghost Plant. And man, this one's got such a cool vibe with its pale, almost translucent leaves that look like they're glowing a little in the right light. It's super easygoing, thrives on neglect. Really just needs some bright light and a little water here and there. No fuss at all. What I dig is how its leaves change color depending on the sun, sometimes pinkish, sometimes a soft grayish green, so it's like it's always putting on a little show. It also grows these cute little rosettes that stack up over time, making it perfect for filling in any empty spot on your shelf or garden. And if you're new to succulents, this is a great starter plant because it's pretty forgiving. Honestly, the Ghost Plant's just got this cool, ethereal look that makes it feel kind of magical in any collection. Number 37 is Senecio Serpens, also known as blue chalk sticks. And this one's a total showstopper with those smooth blue-gray fingers stretching out like it's reaching for the sky. It's super low maintenance, just loves soaking up the sun and can handle a bit of drought without complaining, perfect for busy folks. What's cool is how its color really pops in bright light, giving your collection a fresh, modern vibe that stands out from the usual green succulents. It spreads out pretty nicely too, so it works great as a ground cover or spilling over the edge of a pot for that casual, effortless look. Plus, it's tough as nails, so even if you're a bit forgetful with watering, this guy's got your back. Honestly, if you want a unique succulent that's both beautiful and chill, Senecio Serpens is a solid pick. Number 38 is Crassulabuda's Temple, and man, this one looks like a tiny skyscraper made of succulent leaves stacked perfectly like a real temple. It's got this neat, geometric vibe that makes it a real conversation starter on any shelf or desk. What's awesome is how compact it stays, so you don't need a ton of space to show it off. It's pretty hardy too. Just give it some bright light and don't overdo the water, and it'll thrive no problem. I love how the leaves have this subtle texture and soft green tone that almost glows in the right light. Honestly, if you want something that's a little architectural but still easygoing, Buddha's Temple is definitely a must-have for your collection. Number 39 is Aichryson Dumosum, and this little guy is all about those delicate, tiny leaves that almost look like little rosettes piled on top of each other. It's super chill and low maintenance, perfect if you're just getting into succulents or want something that doesn't demand much attention. What I really dig is how it kinda spills over the pot, giving your setup a natural, laid-back look without trying too hard. Plus, the light green color with those soft, fuzzy leaves adds a nice touch of texture you don't usually see in other succulents. Just keep it in a bright spot with good airflow and let it dry out between waterings. And you're golden. Honestly, it's a cool little addition that brings subtle charm without stealing the spotlight. Plant number 40, Aeonium Zwartkop, is like the rock star of the succulent world with its deep, almost black rosettes that really stand out in any collection. It's one of those plants that's both dramatic and easygoing loves. Bright light, but can handle a little shade too, making it pretty versatile. When it's happy, it grows these big, bold rosettes that look like they're painted with midnight, which is perfect if you want a statement piece without too much fuss. The stems can get kinda leggy, so a little pruning keeps it looking sharp and full. Water it when the soil's dry, but don't overdo it. It's pretty forgiving if you forget now and then. Honestly, if you want something that adds instant cool factor and doesn't act high maintenance, this one's a solid pick. Plant number 41, Aloe Helenae, is one of those succulents that really grabs your attention with its chunky, triangular leaves and those cool white spots that give it a bit of texture and personality. It's not your average aloe, more like the rugged cousin that thrives in bright, indirect light and doesn't mind a bit of neglect here and there. When it's happy, it puts out these tight rosettes that look super sculptural, perfect for adding some architectural vibes to your collection. Watering? Keep it simple. Let the soil dry out completely between drinks, because overwatering is the quickest way to mess it up. It's compact, so it doesn't take up much space, but definitely adds a big dose of character. Honestly, if you want a low-key but standout plant that's got a little wild side, Aloe Helenae is a solid choice. Plant number 42, Faucaria Tigrina, is pretty wild-looking. Those thick, claw-like leaves really set it apart and give it a fierce vibe that's hard to ignore. It's not just about the looks, though. This guy's super easy to care for, loves soaking up bright sunlight, and just needs a good dry spell between watering to keep it happy. When it flowers, you get these bright yellow blooms that almost feel like a surprise party after all that claw business. It's compact, but makes a statement, kind of like the little tough guy in your succulent crew. Plus, it's a fun one to show off when friends come over because it's got that "what is that" factor. Honestly, if you want something that's a bit edgy but doesn't demand too much attention, Faucaria Tigrina is a no-brainer. Alright, this little guy, String of Batonsis, one of those succulents that looks like it came out of a video game. Each leaf stacks perfectly on top of the next, kind of like a spiral staircase made out of minty green buttons. What's cool is when it gets a bit of sun, those edges turn this soft reddish pink, like it's blushing or something. I love how it adds height to arrangements without being all bulky, just tall, twisty character. And it's tough too. Doesn't need babysitting. Just a bright spot and a little water now and then. If you ever want more, just snip a piece, drop it in some soil, and boom, new plant. It's playful, weird, in the best way, and just totally underrated in my book. Sunrise succulent, man, it's like nature's way of showing off. The colors on this one are wild. Those pinks, oranges, and soft greens kind of melt together like a watercolor painting. When the sun hits it just right, it literally glows, which is probably why they call it sunrise. It stays pretty compact too, so you can squeeze it into little spots that need a pop of color. I keep mine by the kitchen window, and it always gets compliments. People think it's fake at first because it looks that perfect. It's also super chill to care for, not picky about soil, and doesn't throw a fit if you forget to water it once in a while. Plus, if you're into propagation, this one's generous pups all the time. Just a happy little burst of color that asks for almost nothing in return. Haworthia Reinwardtii is one of those underrated gems that kind of sneaks up on you. It's not flashy, but once you notice it, you can't stop looking. It's got these tall, narrow towers covered in little white ridges that almost look like armor. Super cool texture. I've got one on my desk and it's like a tiny alien skyscraper just chilling next to my coffee mug. What I love is how low maintenance it is, minimal light, barely any water, and it still keeps growing strong. It also pups like crazy, so you get a whole little family of them after a while. You can tuck it into any arrangement and it adds that vertical, spiky contrast. Honestly, it's the kind of plant that makes you look like you know what you're doing, even if you just picked it up last week. Madagascar Palm. This one's a total curveball. First off, it's not even a true palm, which kind of blew my mind. It's actually a succulent, and it looks like something straight out of a Jurassic Park backdrop. You've got this thick, spiny trunk that stores water like a champ, and these long, tropical leaves up top that make it look like a mini desert palm tree. I remember getting mine thinking it'd stay small. Nope, it kept stretching up like it had somewhere to be. Give it plenty of sunlight and space to grow, and it'll be the showstopper of your collection. Just don't brush up against it too fast, those spines don't mess around. But honestly, it's such a cool conversation piece, especially when people realize it's from Madagascar and not just your average patio palm. Astrophytum Asterias is like the UFO of succulents. It doesn't even look real half the time. It's this perfect, round little button of a cactus. No spines, just these dotted patterns that almost look painted on. When I first saw one, I thought it was a rock someone decorated. No joke. But the real surprise? It blooms with this huge yellow flower that's way too big for its body. It's like a fireworks finale from a tiny plant. It's super slow growing, so it's definitely a patience game, but the payoff is worth it. You give it a nice, gritty mix and tons of light, and it'll just chill and stay cute for years. It's also one of those plants that makes collectors nerd out hard. It's rare, a little picky, and totally unique. Echeveria gibiflora is one of those succulents that just screams Dromain a good way. It's got these big, wavy-edged leaves that kind of look like they're frozen in mid-twirl, almost like a plant doing a flamenco dance. The colors? Wild. You get deep reds, purples, sometimes even this smoky lavender depending on the light and season, and it can get big, like dinner plate size if you give it space and love. What's cool is that it sends out these crazy long bloom stalks with little pink flowers, and it kind of looks like it's waving at you. It's not a beginner succulent, though it likes some attention, good airflow, and definitely hates wet feet. But once it's happy, man, it turns into a total showstopper. It's one of those plants that makes your shelf go from, "That's nice," to, "Whoa, what is that thing?" Ruby Necklace is such a fun plant. Man, it's got this wild trailing vibe with these bright, bean-shaped leaves that start green and then turn this vibrant ruby red when they get enough sun. Like, it doesn't even try to be subtle. The stems are purple, the leaves are glossy, and when the light hits it just right, it looks like some kind of alien jewelry. It grows fast too, which I love. You can hang it up and within a couple months it's already spilling over the pot like it's trying to escape. And the flowers? Tiny little yellow daisies that pop up randomly like the plant's throwing a party for no reason. It's super easy to care for. Just give it light, don't drown it, and boom color all year round. I've even seen people wrap it around driftwood or let it cascade down bookshelves, which looks ridiculously cool. Honestly, it's one of those succulents that feels like it belongs in a fantasy game or something. Alright, so Adromischus Cristatus is kind of like that quiet kid in class who suddenly drops a crazy fact and you're like, wait, what? These little chubby leaves look like pebbles, got a stylish upgrade, all mottled with purples and silvers like they've been hand-painted. Super compact too, which makes it perfect if you're tight on space or just want something low-key weird to show off on a windowsill. What's cool is how the colors shift depending on the light. It can go from muted to straight-up alien skin if it gets enough sun. And I gotta say, the way those thick little leaves grow in these stacked rosettes almost makes it look fake, like it belongs in a claymation. Water it sparingly. Keep it chill literally. It actually prefers cooler temps and you've got yourself a funky little conversation starter. People always ask me if it's real. It is. It's just that kind of plant. Alright folks, that's it for today's Rare Succulent Roundup. If you enjoyed hanging out and learning about these unique plants, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out. Drop a comment if you've got a favorite or want to see more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.